Hello, everyone. Welcome to There Be Toys. Now, I have a very exciting update. I'm sure you've all seen by now that we are finally getting a Queen Marlena action figure in the Masters of the Universe cartoon collection. Now, it looks like in the same way, there's also going to be a King Randor as well. Now, there have been a lot of figures of King Randor released over the years. The first one is the retro one. Of course, it didn't look exactly like the cartoon. None of the toys did back in the 80s, but he was released, though there was no Queen Marlena. Now, it wasn't until decades later that Mattel was redoing Masters at a larger scale, more articulation, looking a little bit different, and they did do a version of King Randor like this as well, but they did a more Filmation one too. I believe they did one based on the 2000X series, if I'm not mistaken. Now, there was only one Queen Marlena figure. This is the only one that's ever been released. That was a 2011 Comic-Con exclusive. So she was very difficult to get. And she was released as Queen Marlena there in the Comic-Con version. Now, later on, I think it was released maybe online or something like that as Captain Glenn. And it was the same sort of green color, but it was in her space astronaut outfit. It was included with both. So you had the dress with both. You could just swap it out. But one said Captain Glenn, one said Queen Marlena. So this was the only figure of her that was ever produced. Although I'll say there was something released in Spain that I just recently saw. I had never heard about this, but it was like a mini figure, and Spain and France or something like this. So this was news to me that there was this little like miniature figure. But other than that, that really has been it. So let's take a look at King Randor and Queen Marlena from the Masters of the Universe cartoon collection. Now, here is the image of Queen Marlena on card. Now, I'm going to put all my sources at the end. There are definitely a lot of pages you should check out if you want to get any of the news or anything like that that comes out. I don't know how they get it, but they do. So check that out at the end. But here is Marlena on card and looks really, really good. I'm shocked that we're finally seeing it. I've been wondering and wondering, like, when is this going to happen? And so here it is. So it looks like she's going to have a good amount of articulation. She's going to have the head, the shoulders, the elbows. Something's going on with her wrists. I don't know. Her wrists look really thick, or I don't know if that's just a picture, but it looks a little strange. So I'm not sure if she's got articulation in the wrists, but I guess we'll see. It doesn't look like it. But on the website that this was found, I mean, this was found on Walmart's website, so this was not necessarily a leak anymore. It's out there. It does say that the skirt is removable, and we can see that there are feet there. So she'll have full legs. I'm assuming you just take her part at the waist, and then you can just lift the skirt part off, and then she'll have the legs. I'm assuming the legs will probably be green, like heel legs or something like that, maybe with the boots. I'm not sure, but I'm assuming that's kind of what it's going to be. And if you look close, like how Tila and Evelyn were, it looks like her top could possibly be removable. So I guess it just uses the same upper body torso. And like with Tila, Evelyn, they're just putting the armor on top of it. So maybe that's what's going on here. So that'll be interesting to see if anybody does customs of them or anything like that. If we look at Shadow Weaver, she's a little more streamlined. I kind of thought that's what they were going to go with, like just change the belt and put Queen Marlena's head on top of that. I would have been fine with that. I would have not complained at all. But it looks like they've done this to give it something more value. People did complain about the Shadow Weaver because it's just empty under there. There's not like it's not like the bottom is closed off like other figures are, which would be fine. Or if they put it that you can put a clear stand that Shadow Weaver could have been on. They didn't have any of that. So it's just like sort of an empty, hollow figure. So I don't know. Maybe maybe they had the foresight to know, like, okay, we got to do something different with Queen Marlena. So it mentions that the skirt's removable. You could do these action poses, etc. Now the accessory that she comes with, interestingly, is the space helmet from when she is Captain Marlena Glenn, the astronaut. Now, it's interesting because I would like to see this version of her released as a figure, but now we have the helmet with this. So, I mean, I don't know if they would redo it and leave the helmet out and put it only here, or if they would redo the helmet, you're kind of getting the same thing again, right? It would be the same accessory. Would kind of be a little silly to do that. So I'm kind of assuming they're not going to do anything like that. How much that would sell, I don't know. That would probably have to be like an exclusive or something like that. So I ain't gonna complain. I'm glad that she comes with something interesting. It's just you can't necessarily use that. It's just like a companion piece to go with it. And here is King Randor. People, I was seeing people like talk about this, and they're calling him Randy, and I'm like, his first name is Randy. Why did I not know that? And that's not true. It's just they were calling him Randy, as in Randor. And I'm like, oh my God, what the hell's wrong with me? So, I don't know. That made me laugh. But here he is. And these images had just come out, and he looks really, really good. I'm really impressed with the face. It looks really good. It's very daddy, very daddy Randor, as you see in that face. It looks very close to the cartoon. And I'm wondering if the sleeves do come off of that because people were hoping that maybe his jacket would come off. Now you can take the arms off, so the jacket's most likely removable, but then you would have the blue, big, poofy, sleeves. It just wouldn't make sense. So not sure if those sleeves come off or not. It doesn't look like they do. So that may not happen. And it's going to be kind of limited articulation. That legs it's going to look like because you got that tunic piece. But again, it's got the head, probably the waist. You got the shoulders, the biceps. With this for sure, the wrists, knees, ankles, all that. Now the accessory I don't recognize. Usually they're from a specific episode, so I'm not sure which episode. I haven't watched them all in a while. I've been watching a few of them here and there, but I don't remember. I kind of thought it was a flower at first from the way that it looked, but it's actually a scepter. So I don't remember this specific episode with this scepter in it. And here is the back of the card and the card art. Now this is the card for King Randor. I haven't seen Marlena show up yet, but here is King Randor holding the scepter. Marlena's there, Men at Arms, Adam, Orko, and Cobra Khan. So nobody necessarily new on here other than the two new characters. I like that we finally get that sort of drawn imagery on the back of King Randor and Queen Marlena. So it's about time. It looks really, really cool. I don't know why there's just the two of them. Like, why aren't there a few more characters on the back of the card? So I don't know if this is a set. I don't think so because there were two separate listings on Walmart. So I'm not sure, but it doesn't matter. It looks cool. Thank God they're finally coming. I'm just really, really excited to finally see these two. Of course, much, much more so for Queen Marlena, as we've not had her before. All right, well, that is it. Here is Randor and Marlena. And of course, King Randor having way more figures than Queen Marlena. We have the original retro, we have the newer retro, that was part of the newer Origins line, and then we have the new Filmation version. Of course, there is the Filmation version from Masters of the Universe Classics, and then there was that retro version as well. And I think there's more. This is probably not all of them, so don't quote me on that. This is just a few of them. And then with Marlena, Randy Randor is winning. Randy Randor is taking the lead. So we need more figures of Queen Marlena. We only have the 2011 San Diego Comic-Con version, and of course, this new cartoon collection figure that is coming out. So we've got to get on it. We need way more Marlena figures. I know there was talk when they were doing Origins. The reason that they were sort of reimaginings, reproductions of the original figures is because at the time Mattel did not have the rights to Filmation likenesses. So they had to be reproductions of the toys or look very much like the toys. That's why King Randor looks like his original toy that had come out more recently. Queen Marlena was actually in the comic, so she should have or could have been eligible to be made. She was never made, and she was a little bit different. I think maybe she was blonde, had a yellow dress or something like that. So people were kind of thinking perhaps she could have come out in Origins, but it didn't happen. So we are behind now, but here she is. I'm really, really excited for these. Again, they're showing up on Walmart as a listing. They're not for sale yet. So it should be soon because here are the listings. And it's funny because Mattel put out their flyers with the characters on them and they were not on there. So I'm not sure if this is just a ways off and showing up or if it's going to be really soon. So you're going to have to keep your eyes peeled on that one. But here we are. We did it. We made it. We finally have Queen Marlena coming out. I can't believe it, and I can't wait. So, thank you all for joining me. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.